Hey, everybody, welcome to AF Tech Talk, keeping you up to date on the latest in accounting and fintech tools. Each episode, we take a peek behind the scenes to explore the founders and teams working tirelessly to build us the tools to power those we serve and our firms. I'm Michael Lee, and this is my co host, Marissa Jones. Today, we are talking to Brendan Roberts, founder CEO of Aider, which is an AI powered platform enables a new and better way to nail period close and scale advisory services. Brendan, welcome to AF Tech Talk. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Marissa. Thanks, Michael. Great to be here. Really appreciate it.
And in the US.
Yes, love. I've been here, live in New Zealand, but I've been to the US 8 times this year, spending a lot of time here, and yeah, loving it so far. It's great.
And how old is Aider?
Aida's, we launched the product, the platform in kind of commercially in 23, midway through 23 in New Zealand and Australia. We were in beta with a bunch of friendly accountants and bookkeepers in New Zealand and Australia throughout 22. But Aida itself, we actually did quite a big pivot. Our first product was built directly for small businesses, and we were building our own AI. It was long before ChatGPT and so on came out. And we were targeting retail and hospitality, small businesses. It was going really well, but then COVID hit and retail and hospital around the world, shut down, literally shut their doors and all. And so all of our numbers they were hitting all in the right direction, started hitting in all the wrong direction. But the strategy back then was to work with these small businesses and then work with the accountants and allow them to power up their advisory for these clients. So we stuck on the advisory path, and we just pivoted away from the small business project, and then built and launched the advisory platform instead. So we have a bit of an interesting story on both the client side and now the advisory side, which is our main focus, is helping accountants scale advisory. But we've always been with AI. AI was our first product long before ChatGPT, and now that these LLMs are out and the tech's out, we just fully embraced that. And I think we might have been the first globally to have GPT and so on fully built into the platform because we were ready for it. We built our own, and all we had to do was kind of remove ours and put theirs in and add value where it was, where it was necessary. So July last year, it was already fully built into the product.
That's great. That's great. Brendan, tell us a little about your background, how you came about to start Aider.
Yeah, so I've been in the accounting tech space for must be coming up to 15 years now. Aider is my second startup since I moved to New Zealand. I'm originally from South Africa, was born and bred there, and then I lived in the UK for 10 years, and then I moved to New Zealand. And the first startup was also integrated into the accounting ecosystem, plugged in your the Xeros and the QuickBooks and Sage and all of the different accounting apps, along with business operational data. And we used all of that and gave that information to banks to get that they could give it to their small business customers as a solution. So we sold through banks to their small business customers. So I got involved in the accounting tech space there. It was a really interesting lesson around you could give small business owners a lot of information. They didn't know what to do with it. And as soon as you showed that same information to the accountant, the accountant's like, this is gold. I know how to help my clients. And so I started kind of inquiring more and more about that. And there's obviously this real desire to get into advisory and to do that for all of their clients. But I kept asking, so do you offer advisory? And the accountant would say yes. And I'd say, well, what % of your client base are you offering it to? And it'll always be a small number. And it's like, okay, well, there's something here about not being able to scale it properly. And that's what we set out Aider to do, is to help scale it across the whole client base and productize it properly and use tech to automate as much of it as possible so that, the capacity in the firm can be stretched way further. And, ultimately the clients to have a much better service from their accountant and be happier and more successful. So that's the vision behind it. And, it came from a journey which actually started with the previous startup that I ran. And, you learn your lessons there, and then you kind of, you change and you figure out a new way of doing things.
2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always great to talk to a founder who's on their second journey, whether you were successful or not on the first journey, the amount of lessons you learned from that to be on your second one. So you picked a space um, that has a lot of different types of competitors, right? Direct or indirect. What's the unique value proposition of Aider, and how are you going to market to be unique from the rest of the pack?
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do is help scale advisory, and I think that the more traditional advisory solutions have been centered around complex reporting. And those nothing wrong with those reporting apps. There's some really good reporting apps out there. They typically overkill for what most small businesses need. We spoke to loads and loads and loads of small businesses on our journeys over the years, and they just want something small and simple and easy to understand, but they want it on time. It's no point in giving me a 10-page report week 3 or 4 into the new month. I've already forgotten about what I did the previous month, and I'm thinking about the next month. So there's no point. So give it to me earlier and make it simple and easy for me to understand. And so on the competitor side, there's the traditional in-depth big reporting packs. So we have reporting, but we don't think of ourselves as a reporting business. We think of ourselves as an advisory business. So I think what you'll see is we're still early, and where our product is going to evolve is going to be doing things that are a little bit different to what the traditional reporting solutions do. But on the other side of it is, you can't scale advisory without clean data. And so otherwise it's garbage in, garbage out. And so we've built a period close dashboard, which helps you monitor the quality of the data. We don't actually do the doing of the period. We don't do the bookkeeping. There are a bunch of other apps that do that. So we'll partner with them in time. And the goal is get your data clean. You can see that data is good to go on Aider, which means you can trigger and run the reporting and deliver your advisory out the other side. And then again, probably what's a little bit different about the way we've built Aider is management by exception. Again, with the thinking, our lens is scaling reporting and scaling advisory. You physically won't have the time to talk to every client every single month, and you probably don't need to. So therefore, how do we show you which client needs your help and why? How do you talk to the ones that really need your help? And then for the others that don't, just pass on them this month, send them their report on time, and have a conversation with them the next month. They don't need to hear from you every single month. And so Ada helps you prioritize and get that right. So there's almost a practice management element to what we do, because it's not just wait till the end of the month and then run a report. It's a throughout the month platform.
And as software increasingly automates transactional accounting aspects, and you're kind of building upon that and integrating with the tools that already do the transactional portion, and you're unlocking these services, how do you differentiate yourself specifically in the market, or how would a tool that layers on top of this differentiate themselves?
Do you mean how would the accountant differentiate?
Or is that
Yeah.
that's just what you're saying about just being more simplified? And so then do you see, like, in an org chart, of bookkeepers or client managers or fractional CFOs, or however your company is structured, like, who are the users doing this?
Yeah. I think that's quite interesting. Is You're right. The transactional stuff is being, automated and commoditized to a certain degree, and so it's how's an accounting firm identify the opportunity with their clients and differentiate in that space. One is, we hear from our clients all the time is, I wish my accountant was proactive, and I wish my accountant would just tell me what to do. And those are the two key themes we hear a lot. And so even just being proactive and talking to your clients when they need your help, that's a big deal to the small businesses. But I think what you're going to see over as tech evolves and as accountants evolve is brands and touch points really matter. And how do you create an experience for a client that's different to here's just a report at the end of every month or quarter or whatever else it is. And the brand and touch points start to become quite important. Some of the forward thinking companies that are using Aider that we see really care about the look and feel of their website, of their brand, of the emails that go to their clients, making sure that the client gets to see the accountant. There's lots of Loom videos embedded into reporting. There's lots of other touch points now. And so, we're we're a digitized world, and I think a lot of that's going to start to flow through into changing the way that small businesses experience their advisory from their accountants. So it's not, again, it's an experience more than just a report. And I think that's, that's certainly the direction that we see it going, and it's definitely the path that we're going to play in that.
Yeah, that's good imagery to think about as you're thinking through this advisory world, where maybe that's a little bit non-descriptive, or people are like, okay, but what does it actually mean? I think that the way you're describing the experience component of that is a really great way to conceptualize it.
Yeah, and I think there's one of the things we've also learned is, you mentioned, who in the firm or in the practice is doing this. One of the things we're seeing is that, because of how we've designed data, juniors can get involved in the advisory game, whereas previously that was restricted to just the senior partners. And they can do most of the work now, and maybe just leave the final step, that final review, to the senior partner to go ahead and do this. So it unlocks a lot more capacity within the firm to go and deliver advisory. And it might make more sense when, if we're going to run through the product, that you can see how a junior can do almost all of it, and then the final step, the senior can come in. So our users tend to be bookkeepers. They tend to be some juniors in the firm, client managers, but also the partners. There's layers of that. A partner can look across their whole client base and see what's going on, and there's much more transparency into what's happening with the client. So it resonates from the partner level right down to some of the juniors in the firm. And what that's unlocking is potentially an advisory light solution. And again, it's another way of productizing this experience that we were talking about. The more traditional approach, Michael, that you were asking about, is, I produce this big report, I sit with my client every single month, and there's a human to human thing, and that's great, and that should never go away, and I don't think it will. But when there's human to humans, that time is impossible to scale. And so how do you create an advisory light solution that is maybe something that you can scale at a lower price point, but you can scale it across your whole client base that is a lot more automated, and the clients still get all the value that they can from that, but they don't have to sit and have a meeting with you every single month, Marissa or Michael, and so therefore you can charge them less, but you can scale it more, and it's a really good financial outcome for the firm, and a really good outcome for the clients as well. And that's what we're seeing, is people creating another price point and an advisory light solution, and selling that. And it's a good stepping stone for clients to come off just the previous package they had with you. It might have just been tax or whatever it is, and now they can take a smaller step into advisory, and they're getting their value, and you can move them up to a bigger step after that.
That's great.
Yeah, there's a gap in the market for that. Yeah,
definitely.
I'd love for you to demo a little bit, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure, happy to do that. Should we do that now?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll just make sure this is coming through, so let me know once you can see that.
Yeah, you're all good.
Cool. So I'll just run through a few of the key points, and you'll see how we've fully built generative AI into it, and I'll just touch on some of the key aspects here. But what you're looking at now is this advisory dashboard. So if you imagine you're an accounting firm, and you've signed up to Aider, and you've connected Aider to your QuickBooks clients and your Xero clients, that's where we get the data from. So down the left-hand side, you'll see your client list in your practice or in your firm. And then we bring that data over, and we're pre-analyzing that data, and we're showing you which clients need your help today and why, based on the performance of what's going on inside that business. So red light means there's something bad happening in that business. Green light means there's something good happening in that business. But either way, those are your engagement opportunities. Those are your touch points. So if you haven't sold your client, you upload your whole client base and you haven't sold them advisory, the reds and the green lights are the sales opportunities. If you have sold them advisory and they're on one of your advisory packages, and you're looking at how do we scale this, if there's white, there's no significant change in that business. You probably don't need to talk to that one, move on to the next one. But if there's reds or greens, those are the ones where you can be proactive and say, hey, let's talk about how you're growing and how do we help you here. Let's talk about this problem over here and see how we can help you prevent that. So it's your engagement opportunity. You can create some custom tags and cut and dice your client base by anything you want to. You can sort and filter by these categories. So, show me all my clients that haven't done their reconciliations, and I can see I need to chase those, because obviously otherwise there's garbage in, garbage out. So there's lots you can do with this dashboard. And I won't get into roadmap quite yet. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but there's some really interesting things coming to help with this. There's a second dashboard. This is what we call our period close dashboard. Again, you got your client list down the left-hand side. And as you know, you can't deliver advisory, you can't scale it unless the data quality is good. So what you want is everybody into the green. And the green means good to go. So if it's not green, then Aider will show you what's wrong with that data. And you can see there's a few things going on with this particular client. In this case, there's some unreconciled items. So if I click on that, it drops me down to the client level. So I'm looking at that particular client. And what Aider's got built into it is a checklist. And what this allows accounting firms to do is create a standardized checklist that is a digital checklist for their firm. And that means you can, at the end of every period, you go down this checklist, you mark it as done, and then you know the data quality is good to go. So it looks and it automatically populates this checklist with data from QuickBooks and Xero, and we'll add more apps later. But you can see, unreconciled transactions. So you would click on this, would link you into Xero, link you into QuickBooks. You do the job, you come back out, mark it as done, and then move down the checklist and keep the idea is you go through and at the end of every period, you're marking this as checked. You can collaborate and put notes on with your colleagues on this. And like on the P&L and balance sheet, there's a bunch of rules being run by Aider, but you can go and create your own rules and apply them to all of your clients across the firm, or you can fine tune some of these rules at a client level. And really just what these rules are doing is they're catching any coding anomalies, or if your client's doing their coding and they buy a vehicle and put it to expenses, this will catch it and show you there's the problem, and you can jump in and deal with that in real time and fix it, or sell your bookkeeping your services to that particular client. So what that's actually doing is getting the firm into a much more real-time data strategy. And we're seeing accounting firms that have used Aider for the last year or so that are now just dealing with exceptions rather than big, huge to-do lists every month, because this is just maintaining the quality of their data every month. So this checklist is important, because otherwise it's like kind of that garbage in, garbage out. If you're using this properly, you'll get internal efficiencies, but you're also getting that real-time data, and you're seeing this dashboard turn green a lot more. I'll skip across some of the other insights. We've got lots of insights, cash flow insights and other things. I don't know what's going on with your client base. You can see loads of trends and charts and graphs. But what the advisory side as well is, this is where we're a little bit different to some of the others, is on Aider, there's reporting packs capable. You create a template, and some clients just want something small and simple, and some want something a little bit more substantial, and you can create a multiple number of templates. And when you are happy with the data, you run the report, and Aider will pull together those charts and graphs that you've decided you want in this report. But we use our Gen AI to read that and then write the executive summary and write the action points for the accountant. So that's, again, if you're scaling advisory and you're doing reporting for 100 clients or 1,000 clients, that's a lot of executive summaries and a lot of action points to write. So this will save hours and hours and hours in the reporting side of it. It makes it a lot more scalable. Obviously, you can go in and use the Gen AI to rewrite or change the tone or change the format, or you can just manually write over the top of it and get that sent out. But like I was saying earlier, juniors in the firm can do everything right up until this point, generating the reporting pack and then sending it to the senior for review. And the senior just has to come in and look at this and go, yeah, you know what, I'm happy with that. I just want to make a few tweaks, and then send the reporting out to the client. You can publish it or you can download it, and then it's got the accounting firm branding on it. You got your exec summary and action points and all the charts and graphs in a nice reporting pack that goes out. And the last thing I'll show, and then we can kind of stop there, is what we call our advisory assistant. Think of it as ChatGPT or Claude, but built into Aider and secure. And it's got access to all of the client data. So it's got the P&L and balance sheet and transactional data. So you can ask it loads of things. Hey, look at my client and tell me if you can find any duplicate transactions for this last month, or help me build a revenue diversification plan for the client. The better you get at prompting, the more powerful the tool gets. We provide some prompts down the left-hand side here, but you can build your own and save your own prompts and just reuse those. But maybe one example is you got a client meeting coming up, an advisory meeting. What should you talk to your client about? How do you prepare for that? So you can hit this prompt that says, give me a summary. The AI will read it and go, well, here's their key variances in their financial performance. There's some recommended actions that they can take to improve their performance. So your prep work is done in seconds rather than, half an hour. But you can go in and ask, what are their top operating expenses, or, hey, show me my client's wages over revenue. And our AI will pick that up and produce a table for you. You can download the table, or you can convert that table into a chart, and suddenly you've got something nice and easy that you can share out with your clients. And that's taken seconds rather than hours. And you don't have to export it into Excel and try and manipulate it. Let the Gen AI do the things that it's good at. And because you've got access to Gen AI with client data plumbed in, the use cases are just growing and growing and growing. There's more to it than that, but that's a kind of a good touch point across how we help you identify the opportunity, clean up the data, and then scale advisory.
That's really powerful. That's really cool, and to see that built into the product. I think firms are worried about, what about their client data being exposed to the general GPTs out there, and where how that data is being used. And so to know that you're keeping it confidential, has been awesome, which is really, really great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was one of the problems. We see a lot of people trying to export data in and move things around and redact stuff, and that's work. And again, that's additional time. There are ways of making that happen for an accounting firm, but again, it takes a long time to do that, and uploading files, and there's a lot of prep work to make sure that you do protect that data. Whereas on Aider, you don't need to; it's done for you, and you can focus on the getting the value out of that as quickly as possible. And again, it's Gen AI, and how this works. It's a change in the way that we consume and use software. A lot of it is, it's not just up to the vendor to build stuff that makes it work. Yes, that's on us, and we're going to make it easier, and we're going to keep improving the product, and we do that a lot. But a lot of it comes down to the user now having to prompt properly and having to figure out how to use that software, and how to find the right combination of words that gives you the best value from it. So it's a slightly different way that we consume software as
That's
users.
great.
Yeah. Quick hot seat question. Are you seeing your software replacing other tools? Maybe people are using multiple tools to get to the end result of what you're delivering. And where are people switching out their products and replacing it with yours?
Yeah, it's a good question. We're seeing some people do drop some of the tools that are on the period close side. And I just still don't know if that's the best move or not, but there's definitely a desire to try and get less apps and try and do more with the apps that they've got. So to try and simplify the tech stack. And so because we have a period close checklist and we have the advisory side, we're seeing some people sacrifice their other period close apps that they're probably not using that well. We actually, because I said, we don't actually do the doing, we don't do the bookkeeping ourselves. It's a checklist. It's a qualification. You can see whether it's being done properly or not. Rather than the doing of the doing. We don't actually do the reconciliations, and we're not trying to solve that problem. So we still think it's a good opportunity for us to partner with people that are doing that. But we have got people that are dropping that. And then what's interesting is, like we spoke about on the advisory side of things, where some people maybe have some of the big reporting apps. We're not seeing them necessarily drop those big reporting apps. They're still using them for the top 10% of their clients. And those are the ones that have sold, the more traditional advisory, and they need the big, more comprehensive reporting suites for those clients, but they still have a dependency. So, the Spotlights and the Fathoms and the Giraffes and those kind of apps, there's still a dependency on, is my data clean or not? And so they use Aider to identify the opportunity, to engage with their clients, to clean up the data, and then go, right, now it's ready to go, run my Giraffe or run my Spotlight or run my Fathom. And so we're seeing that. But remember when I mentioned that there's that advisory light thing, we're seeing that we will go in there. And so if they have got overkill, if they've got a big complex reporting app for someone that doesn't need it, that's where we're probably picking up some of that opportunity.
Great, thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, what can we expect to see from you in the future, from Aider in the future, and what are you excited about coming, Brendan, with Aider in the future?
Yeah, so talk about a few product things in a second, but a couple of important milestones we've just achieved. One is, Marissa, you hit the nail on the head earlier, is in the US. So we've been there a lot this year. For us, we've been live in New Zealand and Australia for just over a year. We're now coming into the US market, and that's exciting for us. So we just integrated into QuickBooks a couple of months ago, the week before Intuit Connect,
Yeah.
and so we went into soft launch in the US at Intuit Connect. So now we've got Intuit and Xero ready to go. And so that means we're ready to come here, and the product works, and we've got our first batches of paying US customers coming on board. So that's an important milestone for us. Well, US and Canada, to be fair, I'm talking to you because you're American and I'm in America, but it's Canada as well. So that milestone was really important, and we're looking to hire some people and get our first boots on the ground and do things and start to push in 2025 into the US, and so that's where we're at. So it's super early stage for us in North America. We were very privileged to make it into the CPA.com accelerator program this year, 2024. And that accelerator was focused on AI and accounting, and so CPA.com have been super supportive to help us and figure out what the market is, and give us feedback and advice and so on. So that's been a really, really good program for us. And so yeah, for us, next year is pushing more into the US, and we'll see a lot more of you both and the ecosystem as we start to spend more time here. And then from the product perspective, we've got some super exciting things coming as well. So there are going to be some upgrades to the reporting side of things. But there's also, like I said earlier, we think of ourselves as a data business. And there's some features like live benchmarking that's going to start to come in and allow accountants to compare their clients' performance to other clients that are the same. So if you've got some clients that are in retail, how they're going, in isolation, it's hard to tell if they're doing a good job or not. But if you pool them with others, you can kind of see are they above their peers or below their peers, and that starts to add a lot of value. We'll start to build in goal setting and budget setting and things like that as well, which we can pull through from the ledgers. And there's a lot more as well, especially in the Gen AI space, where there's more features coming in, both on the period close and on the reporting side. So think of virtual accountants and digital experiences with your accountant. There's some really interesting concepts that we've been testing in the market with both accountants and clients, and they've been received really, really well. So that's back to that point we were talking about earlier, is advisory isn't just about reporting, it's about that client experience, and we're going to be investing in that client experience.
That's great. That's great. How much money have you raised to date so far, and what are you looking to raise in the future?
So we since focusing on this product, we raised capital before when we were on the SMB side of things, but since focusing on this, we've raised I think it must be about 2 mil, just 3 mil New Zealand, so 1.5 to 1.7, 1.8 US on a safe. And that's what we've raised now, to get to this point, to build this product, to get it in, and to hit some of these milestones, like doing our soft launch in North America. So we're actually capital raising now as well. So we're looking to. We've still got a safe open, so if people want to come in and invest in the safe, we've got a safe with a discount and a cap, and there's a good opportunity to come in there if we can make that happen relatively quickly. But then we're looking to do a seed round, a proper seed round as well. So that'll probably be about a $3 to $4 million US raise, and we'll probably look at that at Q1 25. So yeah, that's we've got the safe for a quick move, and then we got the main round as well. Had some really good conversations, and I just wanted to get a few of these key milestones underway first before we start to have some of those VC type conversations.
That's right. That's great. Well, how can folks reach out to you that are watching? What's the easiest way to reach out to you and find more about Aider and about you?
So our website is Aider.ai. And so jump onto the website. Probably the easiest way to find us is there. You can book a demo. You can reach out to our team, and we'll get onto that pretty quickly for you. If you want to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn, Brendan Roberts at LinkedIn, and if you search for Brendan Roberts and Aider, I'm sure you'll find me. AIDER. I've been told to add the R at the end for the Americans to make sure I understand that. So it's AIDER, Aider. I've just got to remember to pronounce the R. Otherwise, it sounds like something else. So yeah, those are probably the easiest ways. Feel free to ping me there, and look forward to meeting with you. Yeah, like I said, I spent a lot of time in the US, so we're at a lot of these events, and we've been all of those ecosystem meetups and things. So looking forward to it.
Well, we'll have to say your reputation beat you here. So there was already a little buzz in the air before you got here. We got to all meet you at your soft launch. So yeah, I've been very excited to learn more about your product. So thanks for joining us today and talking us through it. And look out for more exciting stuff from you guys.
Sounds great. Thank you. That's very, very good to hear, Marissa. Appreciate that. And thanks for the opportunity of joining you both on this. And yeah, see you sometime soon.
Yeah,
definitely.
well, Michael, today, right?
Yeah.
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 See you across the